Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Okay, so somebody was asking me on YouTube to make a video. I think I made a couple of these videos already, but this will be sort of the final one. Okay, so we want to make a trailer hitch. Um, Real easy. We have our vehicle, we have our trailer. Okay, what we need to do is we need a part. And then on the trailer, we need a part. Okay, in this case, on the trailer, it's called SS, and it has an attachment in it. That's going to be really important. Okay, this one here. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this script. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of. We'll get rid of these for now, and I'll redo those. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we have our parts. So we're going to right click, we're going to insert object, we're going to insert a script. Really easy, okay? Then we're going to say hit, no, we're going to say script dot parent dot touched. We're going to say connect function. Alright. In this case, we'll say hit. We'll say if hit dot name, and we want it to be SS. This is the name of our part. Then what do we want it to do? We'll say else print wrong part. Alright, so we want to say instance.new. Alright, instance.new. And then we want to make this a rod constraint. Now, why a rod constraint? Well, the physics for ropes and everything else isn't all that great. A rod constraint, it's kind of like a weld, but it'll move, it'll rotate on the around the constraint, right? So it'll rotate 360. So it gives us that movement, and the trailer with the weight, it's going to want to rest sort of in the bottom. So it gives us that illusion that the trailer is kind of resting on a ball. And then where do we want to do it? Let's say we'll say script.parent, okay? And then we want to say we'll say local. Let's give it a name. Let's call it connection. All right. All right. So instance.new script.parent. So now what we want to do is let's right click. Let's insert a rod constraint. Now, why are we doing this? We need to get two properties. We need to get point A and point B, attachment 0 and attachment 1. So we need to say connection dot attachment 0 equals script dot parent dot attachment 0. This is the attachment, okay? Here we say view constraint details, okay? This is the attachment 0 that's in our part. Oh, I guess there's a couple of parts. See, I've done this a few times. That's what I mean. I've done this a few times. Okay, anyways. So we have our part. Alright. And then we have the part that we want to attach to. That also needs a constraint, because that we need to make a rod from here to there. So, okay. We then want to say connection dot attachment 1 equals hit dot attachment. Okay, no, not anchored. Now we can name that attachment if we want to. In here we can rename this. See, it's called attachment 1 and it's capital. So this has to be here. Has to be like that, because that's what it's going to look for. Then what we want to say is we want to say connection dot name equals sure a. That's funny, actually. Just a random. That's good. That's another really interesting suggestion. And then what we want to do is we want to say connection dot length equals 0.2. Now 0.2 is the shortest length. We can make a rod. If we click on the rod constraint, we will see If we say length 0, that's our minimum 0.2. Okay? So now when I back up the vehicle and it makes a connection with the part, it'll create a rod constraint. And that rod constraint will be inside, will be there, right? In the part. If it wants to load. So yeah, there's a little bit to it, right? But kind of get the idea. So what happens is when the parts touch, oh, you know what I need to do? Hold on a minute. Now, if we do that, every time the parts collide, it's going to create a constraint. Then it's going to cause us an error because it's going to create an infinite amount of constraints. So how do we stop that? So we need to make a true and a false value. We can say local on equals false. And we can say if false, if on is equal to false, then, and it does this, and we can say on equals true. Perfect. And then just like that. And we can say on equals false. Okay, perfect. Maybe that'll work. So by ending that function, hopefully in theory it stays. Or I may have just done the exact same thing I did before. So what we might need to do, yeah, I did the exact same thing I just did before. I created a new loop. So we gotta pause this for a minute. Where are we at in our recording here? Not bad. 7 minutes. 7 minutes, not bad. So, and then what'll happen? Well, if we try and connect to the trailer, one, it's going to try and create an infinite amount of rod constraints, and then we're going to fly off the map. So sometimes if you have your vehicle and you're driving around and suddenly you fly off the map, this is why sometimes. So this needs to be like that. Then what we need is we need an additional input. So let's go insert an object. Let's insert a bool of value. Alright, this will be attached. We'll just call it trailer. And we'll say local trailer equals script dot parent dot trailer dot value. And we will say if trailer equals false, then trailer equals true. Simple as that. So if it's false, it'll do that. If it's true, it won't do anything. Then it should just create a single connection. Now, because we have built the interface for the vehicle, what we can do is we can tell it to, once we've connected to a trailer, show a button on the screen, and the button on the screen will be a trailer, right? Click the button, trailer off. So there's a lot you can do. This is just a very basic. Alright, now if I Oh, the part's too low for one. Something's going on here. So the way this truck is set up, when you unlock it, all of the proximity prompts become available. You can interact with the trailer, all that kind of stuff, lift the legs up. And then when you lock the vehicle, all those proximity prompts go away. Like, I'm pretty sure there's one here. And oh, it wasn't enabled, that's why. Strange. What else? 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 Yes, so as you can see, this part is here. What we should do is I can just scale it like that. There we go. It just wasn't colliding with the hitch. Okay, so when the two parts collide, they create a rod which holds the two parts together. Okay, and that rod connects to the attachments that we placed inside each part. That is the basics behind a trailer hitch. So you could do it with a weld, but the weld is so strong and it's instantaneous, I find that it will destroy the vehicle. So you have to be really careful. You could do it with a hinge, but I just find with the rod, because it still moves 360 degrees, it still gives you all that motion that you like with the trailer. So, and then from here, what we need is we need a button to release the trailer. Alright, so now we should. There we go. So unfortunately, it created it. Let's see. There we go, just created one. But the length is 5, so we need to change that. Right, and so what I was saying is that, so a chassis will scale the entire model, no matter how big or no matter how small it is. So when you use a truck and you want players to have the individual trailers, remember, if you don't tweak the truck to have a huge amount of horsepower and pulling power, these trailers have to weigh basically nothing, or else you're not going to get the performance. Whereas if you spawn the whole vehicle, truck and trailer, you get that total performance out of it. I know it just means more models and stuff, but you'll see in the long run it's just a better way of handling that kind of stuff. I guess I'm sitting on my keys. So what happened there? So why didn't it name it? Hold on, I'm going to close this here. My YouTubes. Script.parent.trailer. Something happened here and it didn't show me in the code. So it created the rod constraint, created the attachments, but then it had an error. Probably there. That's probably what it is. Yeah, see? Capital name instead of lowercase n. So there it is. Okay? Perfect. Now it should create the rod constraint that we want. So then what you can do is you can have a proximity prompt, which will place somewhere on the vehicle. And once the trailer connects, oh, that's probably why it's searching for that. Now it's making sense. I had WW in the filter, so I couldn't see anything here. All right. Oh, that's that. Alright, so if we look at the vehicle, where are we here? Miscellaneous part. We'll see that we have our rod constraint. It has been named. There we go. Okay. So if we get out, there we go. You see? We are attached. And away we go. Let's see. We'll go for a trip around the block. We'll come back. I was just working on the airport, and then I brought the truck in there because I wanted to make sure the truck could drive underneath. Then I thought, okay, you know what? Somebody was asking me about making a trailer hitch. So it really is that easy. When the two parts touch, they create that rod. And then we tell it all the properties that we want it to of the rod. How long it needs to be, whether it's visible or not, all that kind of stuff. It's colors, right? You can go right through it. It's all right there. The most important thing are these, attachment 1 and attachment 0. That's one end of the rod to the other end of the rod, and then your length. Once you know that, the rest really is a piece of cake. I wonder if I could, let's see. So yeah, narrow streets. There's the airport over there. So now what we need to do is have a way of detaching the trailer. I guess there's no floor here yet. Oh no. I better go down the big road. How do we do that? Oh, over here. Okay. I got a whole bunch of terrain work to do, as you can see. Okay. So if we come back around, this is the airport. So what I need now is just a little secondary road here. Probably right here is where the trucks will turn in, right? And they'll come in here like this. Alright, easy peasy, easy peasy. So the importance of the Boolean value, the on-off value, is it controls how many times the script fires, the function fires. So as soon as that value changes, the script will only fire once, and that's important. It only creates one rod, which is what we want. Now, we have this attachment here. Alright, so what we want to do is, inside our part, let's insert another attachment, and we'll just call this prompt. Alright, and then we're going to move this, let's just move this out to this side, let's say. Okay, and then inside here, let's going to insert object, a proximity prompt. Alright, and then inside that, we're going to insert a script. Okay, and then what do we want it to say? So we need to say local button equals script.parent, and then we want to say button dot trigger ended, sure, connect function, and then we'll say player, obviously, because why not? And then we will say local delete equals script.parent .parent. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then we want to say find first child. Yeah, find first child. And then what did we name it? AAA. And then we'll say if deletes, then I like remove. I don't know why. It just seems to work a little better. And just like that. So what it'll do is it'll remove the, and then what we'll do is we'll say script, we'll say button dot enabled equals false. And then so what we want to do here is we want to say script. Oh, it's saving. Script.parent dot prompt dot proximity prompt dot enabled equals true. All right, there we go. So the proximity prompt we can't see, and the action text will be release trailer. Now on the trailer there is also another, what is it right here? Trailer brakes. So we're going to move this back just a little bit, and then I'm going to change this to 5, and then same with this one here. The activation distance we're going to change down to 5, and on this one here we want to change the activation distance down to 5, and that way we have to be right close to it in order to see it. Okay. Oh, I guess the music stopped, huh? So now what we can do is we can add to it. We can add the springs there, as you saw, the red and the blue springs, the air connection. We can make a green one for power. And then what we can do is we can code that into the trailer. And we can say if, you know, the power's not connected, then the lights don't function, for example. Like there's little stuff like that that we can do now. We can enhance the trailer hitch itself, so it becomes more than just, hey, these two parts touched and we're creating a connection. Alright, so gave me an error. It can't find the proximity prompt. We got to be able to find the prompts. Script.parent. Prompt. Proximity prompt. Enabled equals true. Interesting. Unless, no, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say unless the part falls off, but it doesn't fall off. Stuff. This programming stuff is tough sometimes. Alright, so we created it. Cool, and there's the release trailer. So if we look at where are we here? Part A. So that's the hitch there. Cool, and it's gone. So now what we need to do is we also need to return that value back to true. And then we want to wait so that way it doesn't reconnect right away. It takes a minute. So maybe what we do is to let the player know that there's a delay is maybe we change the color of the part on the hitch. So I don't know what this I think I can just straight get rid of that. Okay, yeah, so we could make this totally visible and we can just make the color white for now. So when it, let's see, so when it collides, that's the proximity prompt. When it collides, we could say script dot parent dot brick color equals brick color dot new red, and then once it deletes it, we could say, so this is the important thing about building the truck and the trailer, is that it's all one model. So when we're using the script to find parts of the model, we can make it all internal, and it's just easier. Then that way you can plug and play the model in different maps because it's all internal to the model. So we'll say script.parent dot trailer. Let's see, no, we want trailer.value equals, oh, actually here we'll wait. Let's see. Scripts dot parent dot brick color. What's going on? Oh, this is the prompt. Script dot parent dot parent dot parent dot parent dot parent dot parent. Brick color equals brick color dot new, and then we'll make it gold. And then what we're going to do is we'll wait, let's say 10, and then we'll say script value equals true, and then we'll say script. Oh, but this is going to have to be parent, parent, parent. No wonder I couldn't find it. Parent dot trailer dot value equals true. Script dot parent dot parent dot parent dot brick color equals brick color dot new, and then we'll just make it green. Let's try that. So now when we connect to it, the part will turn red. Then when we disconnect, it'll turn yellow, and then green, meaning we can connect again. Hopefully. This should be false. Whoops. There we go. All right. Right, because it makes it true here. So here we have to make it false, and then when it's false, it'll connect. Otherwise, it won't connect. Okay, so let's say you don't care. You're gonna make the trailers weigh nothing. Whatever, whatever. Or you'll figure it out. You could make the trailers weigh nothing, and then the load just has to be welded to the trailer, and then it'll work. You should be able to tow it, I guess. But now all we need to do is where it says SS, we could say or another name, or another name, or another name, and that's how you can set up different trailer types. So right now we have the reefer trailer, then we could have a flatbed trailer, and then we could have a oil trailer, for example. Oh, it gave me an error. What's going on? Yeah, see, there's all these hidden buttons in here. This was one of my best models. It just needs a little bit more sounds to it, but this is one of my most complete models. So we got the tow trucks, we got the regular trucks, got a couple of buses. I I need to work on emergency vehicles again. We'll get it all in here, right? We'll have to have like burning cars and stuff that you can put out with the fire truck. All that fun, it's coming. All that fun stuff. The big one is having the map, right? That's what takes the longest. Is trying to figure out. You need a map that works. Okay, so hopefully there aren't any more issues with the truck. And we can... Cool, so no errors. It's important. We don't want any errors. Alright. I'll need to crank up the... I'll need to crank up that. So, you see it's red there. If I release the trailer, it goes yellow. Alright. Maybe it should go yellow for a little bit longer. 20 or 30 seconds. And, I mean, that depends on how we want to handle the trailer. In this case, this trailer here, it can be loaded. There's, I think, 4 or 5 objects in there that disappear. That can be loaded, so... Oh, it's saving. I hate it when it does that. Okay. We want to change that duration. Because the player has to get back into the vehicle. Then what we need to do is we need to change. See, this truck weighs quite a bit, so we can crank that back to 3. And then... fix that up there. So I guess it's just random coding video. And then what else we want to do? Look at horsepower. We can give it at least 650. And then what's rear wheel drive? Okay, that explains it. And then both sets of controls. Yeah, we gotta crank this up here. There we go. Now this is a different version. There's other versions of a chassis. So I'm still kind of going through it and checking it out. But there are other versions. There are some errors in here that are coming up. This older one. These out-of-date functions. Saying to do that. Anyways, whatever. We don't want to do any of that stuff. We don't want to disrupt. So until I know more about a chassis, I'm not going to actually go through the code. There's a lot of, like, I don't understand any of this stuff here. It's like crazy. You got to be smart to know that stuff. Anyways, what were we checking out? So that was the trailer hitch. So now we have a button. Now it's going to last for 30 seconds when we pull away, which should give us plenty of time to get back in the vehicle and drive away. Yeah, and that's kind of that. Now, was there... there was script parent parent door hinge constraint dot English speed. So then is it locked? Is the door locked? I can't remember if this one was locked or not. Probably right there, I think. So yeah, this is just one of those weird. Wait, like, I don't know, 5 seconds? Make the doors open and close. There's all that sort of stuff. A little bit of refinement left in the model. So, hopefully by now you get the idea of how the trailer hitch works. Essentially, you have 2 parts. When they collide, they create a rod which holds the 2 parts together. That's it. That's your trailer hitch. So that's what we have here. Script.parent.touched. That means that when the part is touched, what do we want it to do? Oh, this part's gonna stay. Explain the code. There we go. Now, I think the trailer brakes anchor the trailer because this one is meant to load with the forklift, and if you don't anchor the trailer, it gets thrown all over the place when you're in the back with the forklift. So we can release the trailer. There we go. Uh-oh. Keep saying wrong part. Oh, this goes away. I need you to explain the code. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what happened there? It seemed like it turned on, and then, okay, so trailer equals true. So if trailer, yeah, dot value equals false. Oh, I wonder if, huh, no, I don't know. Let's discover this together. At 2 a.m. Where are we in our video? 45 minutes. Holy. Let's quickly make a trailer hitch video. 45 minutes later. Uh. Well, in all fairness, after like the first 7 minutes, we kind of had we had it. Now it doesn't want to reconnect. So it means I'm not changing the value back to false. So let's analyze what's happening here. All right. We have our vehicle. Okay, let's watch. All right. Now, ideally, this goes back. There we go. So now, okay, all the conditions have been reset. So it removes the weld. I wonder if it removes the attachments also. Let's find out. Because if it does, then we'll have to simulate the attachments and the rod constraint. And then delete it all. Now, a lot of this is based on assumption, but you know, that's why we gotta dive into it, right? That's why we gotta dive into it. Oh, come on, you. All right, so we have it. Release it. Look, it never even... Interesting. Because see, it's saying wrong part. So I know there's there's two parts there. But all right. Okay, so miscellaneous values false. So when we first connect to it, it should go to true, which it did. Now, so everything works. There we go. Alright, everything works. So let's recap what we had to do. So we ended up having to say trailer.value instead of just saying trailer.value here and then naming it. We had that was how it recognized the value for some reason. Cool. So that again is one way. There's the other way is because we have the interface for the truck. Like I say, once this connects, we can have a button on the screen that appears, and when we press the button on the screen, it can disconnect the trailer. Alternatively, we can do that through a chassis where we have a button here which allows us to connect and disconnect to trailers in the map. But in a nutshell, that is how that works. Now, that is one way. In the next video, perhaps a shorter video, we'll do another way where we just install a click detector, and then when you click on it, you can connect to a trailer, and when you click on it, it disconnects from the trailer. Something to that effect. Until then, thank you so much for watching, liking and subscribing. I can't wait to get this up and running. Like I said, this is the airport here. Bit of city, bit of map work going on. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you all in the next video.